Bernie's chief advisor, Jeff Weaver, doing Jeff Weaver things. What is going on, everybody? Thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of Mika Says Sukasa. And of course, as always, I am your humble host, Niko House. First things first, let's talk about Jeff Weaver. Many of you are familiar with Jeff Weaver. He was Bernie Sanders' 2016 campaign manager. A lot of people have had issues with Jeff Weaver for a lot of legitimate reasons. Matter of fact, he had such negative association when, like, his name was so negatively associated that he had to take a step back from the public eye when it came to Bernie's 2020 campaign. So he wasn't as touted. He only made a couple of appearances, really, whereas in 2016 he was all over the news. If you probably noticed, in 2020 you saw Bree's face a lot more on the news than Jeff Weaver's face. There's a reason for that. Unfortunately, despite the fact that Jeff Weaver seemingly did everything in his power to make sure Bernie did not win in 2016, he was still brought back as a chief advisor in 2020. To this day, we still don't know why. This is the same man who made a deal with Robbie Mook, who at the time was Hillary Clinton's campaign manager in 2016, to basically make sure that Bernie Sanders doesn't get the nomination, and that Hillary Clinton did get the nomination and of course would subsequently win the general election. They made a deal that basically involved shutting down any type of legitimate pushback at the convention. All right, and of course there was the agreement that there would be no fighting over the legitimacy of the election after the convention was concluded, and of course that Bernie Sanders would then support Hillary Clinton. How did that work out for everybody? Yeah, Biden's the nominee now. So clearly that didn't work out all that well. But I'm sure Jeff is doing just fine. Why? Because most of you all know at this point, Jeff Weaver has decided to start a super PAC. Not a PAC, but a super PAC, which means he's taking a whole hell of a lot of dark money. And it isn't just casually flowing into his pockets, by the way. It isn't like he's just, I got a link here, if you feel like donating, who am I to convince you to do otherwise? No. Jeff is actively courting millionaires and billionaires. Now, many of you all are familiar at this point with Branya, who was a co-founder of the Movement for a People's Party, right? I don't know if y'all know his story, but while he was at Our Revolution before he left to start MPP, he had a huge falling out with Jeff Weaver, who at the time was also the president of Our Revolution, who many people, of course, said he shouldn't have been that either. The falling out came because Jeff Weaver wanted to take Super PAC. He wanted basically to make sure that they could take corporate donations, that they could take donations from billionaires, that they could take donations from major companies. That's what Jeff Weaver wanted to do. Nick Branya had actually told the story time and time again, and there have been some people that have actually doubted the veracity of this story. Well, it looks like once again Nick Branya is about to be vindicated, because recently, in Politico, is what an article said. All right, it says America's Progressive Promise. Then the Super PAC name had to be changed because Bernie made Jeff Weaver change it. Essentially, now it's called America's Progressive Promise. All right. So it says America's Progressive Promise is looking to kick off an 8-week campaign in June aimed at strengthening Biden's standing among Sanders voters ahead of the party convention, according to a slideshow for donors obtained by Politico. The group hopes to follow that with efforts in the fall to mobilize young voters, Latinos, and liberals, in part by highlighting Biden's progressive kitchen table agenda. But it gets better. Also, they plan on trying to, quote unquote, cut off and undermine third-party alternatives and stressing the stakes of the election on climate change. The fundraising pitch deck, first reported by Mother Jones, lists a sample budget of $20 million for TV ads, digital spots, direct mail, and other strategies in the battleground states of Arizona, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said before I read that, clearly Nick Branya has been vindicated, because he said his primary beef, the beef that many of the people who left our revolution had, was with Jeff Weaver. That it was very specifically over corporate donations. Now, if Jeff Weaver, if this wasn't the issue in particular, he could have went back to our revolution, worked with our revolution, but he couldn't. There was a whole fight about this, and of course he couldn't go back and expect there to be corporate funding for our revolution that had basically ousted him because of his want for corporate funding at the time. So now he has his own place. And Nick was right. Nick has moved for a People's Party because he didn't like the direction that he saw it going with under Jeff Weaver's tutelage. He's actually one of the people who was fighting to have Nina take over as president, which of course we know she eventually did take over. But I digress. The important thing here is, so not only are you courting corporate money, but you're working to crush third-party alternatives. Interesting, because whenever Nick Branya presented the idea of the movement for a People's Party through the Giraffe Bernie movement, many of you are familiar with that. Whenever he came up with this idea with a few other people, he approached Bernie Sanders, and Jane loved the idea. I was at the People's Summit in 2017. It was 2017 or 2018. Can't remember which one. Maybe 2018. But either way, Jane loved the idea. How I know? Because she told everybody. She told the crowd. Roseanne DeMauro loved the idea. Nina Turner loved the idea. She's given plenty of shout outs to move for a People's Party. However, Jeff Weaver was obviously not too keen on the idea. Now, given that Jeff Weaver is just full of bright ideas, and for some reason Bernie thinks that Jeff Weaver actually has a finger on the pulse of what's going on in the progressive movement and what it takes to win. Of course, Bernie decided to listen to the one person who was offering him bad advice. Now, Bernie's also made it very clear time and time again that he's just simply not going to run third party. In fact, he has proven, unfortunately, that he is more Democrat than not. He's more Democrat than not. Which I guess now explains why Jeff Weaver felt like he had so much free reign over convincing Bernie of the validity of backing establishment causes, using establishment methods. Maybe, I don't know, maybe he's the one who convinced Bernie, or perhaps Bernie got somebody who would not judge him for the establishment decisions he was making. Could be either one. Because, he did also hire, I cannot remember my man's name. He was a consultant, but this dude is not good. He's not a good guy. It was in 2016 he hired him. He did not get rehired. Oh, man. I can't remember his name right now. I wish I could. But the dude is a bad dude. It's like movies made about this guy. Okay? Not a good guy. And somehow Bernie thought it was a good idea to hire him, as he fleeced the Bernie Sanders campaign for millions over TV ads that Bernie actually didn't even want at the time. So once again, maybe Bernie keeps trying to hedge his bets by not putting people in charge and not listening to the people who actually have a finger on the pulse of the movement and of the general electorate, but instead getting people that he's comfortable with, getting people that that wouldn't judge him for towing us the establishment line. But that's the thing. That's what 48 Laws of Power has talked about, that you don't want to put a bunch of your allies, who basically, by the way, Jeff Weaver's career is basically based off of riding Bernie Sanders' coattails, for better or for worse. Now, we don't know if he had already had plans to try and make that leap, but we do know Bernie's not going to be here forever, and Jeff Weaver he feels the need to put food on the table, and he sees an opportunity to monetize what he has been a part of. All right? But the fact that Jeff Weaver is trying to crush third-party opposition Move Forward People's Party, if you're with them, Green Party, Socialist Party, DSA. I mean, there's a lot of different parties. I think it's the Socialist Independent Party. The fact that Jeff is trying to court millions and millions of dollars of dark money by thwarting third-party opposition makes you truly wonder. I mean, if you're not truly wondering at this point, I don't know what to tell you, but it does make you wonder. Was that Bernie's goal? Did he have some type of deal? Not just now, because Jeff Weaver has been a part of Bernie Sanders' whole shtick for quite some time now. Was that Bernie's goal this entire time? To not only, I don't want to say sheep herd, but sheep herd people into the Democratic Party. I mean, he was the damn unity, like that was his leadership position in the Democratic Party over the last 3 or 4 years. It's like the unity outreach. That's what he is. So I mean, that's like the definition of sheep herding. But in addition to that, was it to make sure that third parties never got enough momentum by using whatever leverage you had left, using whatever momentum you've had, whatever popularity you've had, that you've gotten from doing the right thing most of the time, and then allowing Democrats to profit off of it while we get nothing in return? But Bernie still profits. I mean, he's the one who wrote a book and got paid for it. I think he's the one who's more famous now than he's ever been in his life. He got our revolution. Like, he got a lot in return. While a lot of people sacrificed, the people who took dollars from working class Americans, to the tune of hundreds of millions, by the way, many of them got rich, or in the process of getting rich, or got clout they never deserved, just because they rode the train just long enough to say, oh, I was on the right side, so believe everything I say from here on out, even if what they say is wrong. But I will tell you this, Jeff Weaver got some nerve to think that he could ever have anything to do with thwarting the only thing that Jeff Weaver is good at thwarting is the campaigns that he's in charge of. He's the most self-defeating campaign manager I have ever seen. At least Robbie Mook was like, I mean, he's just an establishment douche, but he would, if you saw the emails, he was not all that happy with the way Hillary Clinton was going about a lot of her business. She ran a lazy campaign, and everybody knows it, including her people. Jeff Weaver was just every bad decision Bernie made. That's it, Bern. That's it. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, we should negotiate with Hillary Clinton. Hell yeah, you should work with the establishment. No, you shouldn't challenge this corrupt process that got Tom Perez power. No, you shouldn't call out the Democrats when they're literally lying. Of course, defend Elizabeth Warren. Makes perfect sense. Why wouldn't you defend Elizabeth Warren? It's not like she's betrayed us before. Ro Khanna, national co-chair? Yeah, he's totally not an opportunist. Why would you think that? Like, are we opportunists? No, probably. Yeah. Every bad decision. There was too much listening to the Jeff Weavers in the campaign. Not enough listening to the Nina Turners. Not enough listening to Jane. And hell, maybe we would be in a completely different world. We would be in a completely different world if Bernie would have listened to Tulsi about election integrity in 2016 instead of pretending in 2020 that it doesn't exist, or if it does, if we do have election integrity issues, is only on behalf, of the Republican Party, that they're the only ones causing problems, that they're the only ones who suppress black voters. I know what I saw during these primaries, and Democrats had just as much fun suppressing the black vote as Republicans are about to in this general election. Believe that. So, we'd love to know what y'all thoughts are about that, man, because that's crazy. Some crazy stuff. It sucks. But we've been telling y'all about Jeff Weaver for a while. It ain't just us. I've been telling you, Fee, Jamal Green from Chicago, who used to work on Bernie's campaigns, talk about Jeff Weaver. A lot of people have been talking about Jeff Weaver, if you've been paying attention. If you like that segment of Mikasa and Sukasa, don't forget to like the video and smash that subscribe button. Want access to members only live streams, behind the scenes footage, and other premium content? Well, you can endorse us on Rockfin Premium, become a patron through Patreon, or you can sign up for the MCSC Premium membership through YouTube. All the links are in the description below. But hey, more than anything else,
More than anything else,
More than anything else,
More than anything else.
always remember,
Find your balance.
find your balance.
find your balance.
Find your balance. Find your balance.
Find your balance. Find your balance.
Always remember, more than anything else, find your balance.